In 2025, indie developers are starting to close the gap and just recently destroying AAA studios. Titles like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 are proof that games don't need to be $80 and have multi-$100 million budgets. Successful indie game devs are nothing new. Games like Terraria and Minecraft are literally some of the biggest games of all time, competing and outright outselling majority of games, but they weren't always like that though. Both have had over a decade worth of updates to make up for the initial lack of content that they had. A more recent example of this is something like Lethal Company. Lethal Company exploded in 2023 and was only made by one single person. It had so many players in the beginning and the demand for new content was so high, modders really took over and overshadowed what was made by the developer themselves. Limitations like budget constraints, smaller teams, less experience can sometimes lead to not the most ideal releases until now. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 came out just a month ago and it's already looking to be a Game of the Year contender, and with GTA 6 being pushed back another year in May of 2026, it will probably win Game of the Year. Expedition 33 is a turn-based RPG made by Sandfall Interactive. I couldn't find anything saying otherwise, but it does look like it's the studio's first ever game. I'm not much of a turn-based game player. My experience starts and ends with Pokemon, but I do think I will try out this game. It looks very fun and I would love to support a smaller studio that, can make a good game, and the reviews for it are overall extremely positive. The art style looks really cool looking. The combat, while still being a turn-based style, it does look fun. They have blocking and parrying the enemies so you don't just kind of like sit there and turn your brain off until the enemy attacks you. Also, this, from what I've heard, the sound design in the game is extremely good, so a bunch of positive things about this game. Also, the game isn't completely like poorly optimized. It is using Unreal Engine 5, so a lot of the problems that Unreal Engine 5 has do unfortunately carry over into this game, but it isn't the worst, and it's definitely better than something like Monster Hunter Wilds that released earlier this year as well, which was made by a way bigger team and definitely had a way higher budget, so it really doesn't seem all that bad. And speaking of the team, Sandfall Interactive has around 30 employees, and the game had around a $30 to $40 million budget, at least from what sources I found, and they were still able to price the game at $50. It makes something like the newest Assassin's Creed game just look out of place. Assassin's Creed Shadows, from what I've found, looks to have costed $250 million just for it to be a game. But it isn't all perfect though. Expedition 33 is a pretty rare thing to happen, and there is a sea of other indie made projects that made way too big of promises and they just could not fulfill them, leading to their game to flop. And good AAA games will always have their place in the market. They just have to do what indie devs have to do, and that's just be creative. Use the budget, use the employees, and use the experience to make the best game possible instead of just rushing out a game that you think will fill your pockets. It's like the Infinity War and Endgame curse that happened with movies, where every movie thought they were either one of those films and expected to just make billions of dollars, when in reality, you're just Fast and Furious 45, spending hundreds of millions of dollars, and then your movie flops because you're just Fast and Furious. And now we're starting to see the same thing happen in games, with companies like Nintendo and Microsoft charging GTA 6 level prices for not GTA 6. You do really want to root for these newer studios to succeed. We are definitely going through some industry transitions, and honestly, it's exciting to see, because what we're seeing now with Expedition 33 is that middle ground of a really good and polished game for a reasonable price, and we're also seeing the complete opposite with something like Mario Kart costing $80. And I'm sure Nintendo is shitting themselves because of this game. I know they don't fully own Pokemon, but all of their games are exclusive to their consoles and their hardware, so they might as well own the rights to the actual games. But the recent Pokemon games have been extremely boring and honestly kind of pointless. And with the prices of Nintendo first party games increasing, I assume the next Pokemon game is going to be $70, $80. So why would you pick up Pokemon when you could just pick up this, or honestly just do what I do and use an emulator to play the older Pokemon games? And I do honestly believe that the success of this game will start to cause a shift, but in a positive way. More competition means better overall games for us. Creative freedom leads to new, fresh ideas. When Expedition 33 succeeds, and not even just Expedition 33, games like Lethal Company, Terraria, Cuphead, Balatro, Hollow Knight shows that you don't need a massive budget to make something worth playing. But that is all I have for today. Thank you for 700 subs, by the way. That's pretty cool. I am getting really close to that 1,000 sub mark, which is super exciting for me. But as always though, I do hope you all enjoyed, and bye.